people are like, oh, well, how do you get away with it? EPO is only detectable in your body between the fourth and 13th hour after you take it.
That is such a short window to catch as well.
Now, there's other ways to get caught, like an irregular passport. So your hematocrit, the percentage of red blood cells in your blood. So if you go above 50%, you either are on EPO or you have hemochromatosis. So you usually go people around 37 to 44%, and this depends if you're male or female. So if you go above 50, you have hemochromatosis or you're on EPO. So, but if you are first tested and your hematocrit levels are 47 and you go to 48 or 49, that's still biologically possible. But if you first got tested and you're 40 and then all of a sudden you're 49, that's not possible. So that's the irregular passport that comes in then. And you can get banned on that then as well.
Is this why I'm a little bit out of my area of expertise in this one? So I'm kind of half quoting different things. Like in MMA, if they get injured, they take themselves out of the USADA testing pool and stuff. And then when they come back, the levels are at something from the 6 months, presumably getting back from injury, taking whatever they can and come back in. They're at a baseline level. So if you weren't tested for a while for whatever reason and you had that baseline of whatever it is, you come back into it. They're like, well, that's your current level, even if it was brought up there by whatever they're taking. It wouldn't make it. They wouldn't be able to catch it then. Is that a similar thing?
In a way, yeah, but it's not as easy as that. So actually, a few years ago, the UFC was the most tested sport in the world, it was surprising to me.
Yeah.
So with athletics, if you retire, you have 6 months post-retirement that you can still be tested. But then when you come back into the sport, you still have 6 months that you're tested. You have to give them notice that you're back in the sport. So that's nearly a year that you're tested. So it
Right.
doesn't really work in athletics unless you took like 4 years off or something and came back. So yeah, it doesn't. I don't know how much it works with that with UFC. You do hear about it with certain people who haven't fought in years that bulk up huge and then all of a sudden they're injured and bulk up with lean mass and then they're like, oh yeah, we'll fight again but can't get tested. But yeah, I'm not sure how much it works with other sports.
That's fair.
And having done so much yourself and have gone through many walls and many runs and done some training, have you any advice for us who are not the biggest cocktail we have is burgers and pints after running? What is your advice for us who are looking to get the extra gains for ourselves if we find we're reaching plateaus in terms of our training, and for the listeners who listen who are not competing with the Kenyans and who are just looking to get their PBs on both the mental side and the physical side? Have you any advice for them?
I think people train too hard. So the only way I can talk to Irish people about this is using points as an analogy. So
Well, listen.
Excuse my language.
so let's say on a Tuesday you have your club training, and I say to people do 5K effort, and they go off and they don't do 5K effort, they do like 1,500 meter effort or something. They're going to the well during that session, and they wake up the next day and they can't run or don't want to run because they're too tired or their motivation isn't there because they just emptied the tank from the day beforehand. So if you look at binge drinking and you have 10 points in one night, you're not going to want to drink for a good while, probably a few weeks. So then you're limited to 10 points. Let's say you did it again in a week. You have 10 points in 1 week, where if you had 2 points every single day, that's 14 points at the end of a week instead of 10. So you're getting more volume of beers in. Yeah.
You've changed
Yeah.
thinking for me. Never mind running.
So so then you can progress that to 3 points a day, and now all of a sudden you're at 21 points instead of you're still stuck at 10. So if you slow it down slightly to what your 5K effort is supposed to be, you can go out the next day and do another run. Then on Thursday you can go back and do another session at the specific training zone you're supposed to be in. So I think slowing it down, not having this guilt, or it's probably Catholic guilt that brought into running, that you just have to punish yourself all the time. So I think that's part to do with it. But also people overthinking it. Like, I have to have, I always, when people come to me with things like, I need to do this in training or whatever it is, I'm like, do you reckon Kipchoge does that? And they're like, no.